And the Boot Room boys are back. Lads, how are you? It's been far too long.
Good, mate. Good.
So, Tank, since you've been away, mate, you've come back looking all bronzed up. You've got a new Twitter profile. You know, everything's changing, mate. I don't like it. How have you been? Tell us about your holiday.
The holiday was amazing, to be fair. Yeah, proper. I don't know about it. Like, do you know what the amount of times we've been to Dubai? We've been a lot. Like, in I think the first time we went there was Sharon's 30, so she was actually 47 yesterday, our bastard. And we've never done the June safari. And I can't believe we've never done it because it was possibly the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, I was going to ask
you. Going up and down the sand dunes, right? Is that what you mean?
Well, you get picked up at your hotel, Jimmy, in like a big fucking 4x4, right? And that 4x4 is yours all day, basically. They drive an hour out to the desert, so you go and you've got like a camp. But literally, weren't even aware of it. The desert there, I can't think of the name now, but it's bigger than the Sahara Desert. It's the biggest desert in the world. It's insane. So you get your camp, and then you go on the quad bikes. So you'd have 35 minutes on the quad bikes. Then they drive you to the camels. You get on the camels, have the camel rides. And then
Sharon there before you, was she?
No, she's just not out. She's there that night. And then you go on the it's called the June. What's it called? The June bounce or something. It's fucking off the charts. So you're in your 4x4 and you're literally getting through all over the place, like up the fucking big hills.
I'd be terrible at that.
It's absolutely insane. And then like
safari to me sounds like animals. Should do like that?
Yeah, it's just different type, innit? We won't be seeing any fucking animals out there.
That's
Jimmy.
what I'm saying. Like, what do you see out in the fucking
lizards? Like you would have survived there.
Here's a scorpion.
No, but then you go right up to the peak, like one of the peaks of the dunes, and our Jack went down. You go surfboarding. I mean, it was off the charts. I mean, he said to me, "Do you want to go?" And I went, "Fuck that," because I seen like some young kid trying to get back up the dune. I was like, "I won't get back up."
You'd be there for.
I was like, "I won't get back up."
The dune's got him now.
But it was good. It was good.
Glad to hear it, mate. Good to have you back, Jimbo. Well, since we last spoke, you got to the FA Cup fight, mate. I was on that journey with you. You put talk us through it, because I'll be honest, I was a little nervous for you because there's a few scammers on the old Twitter, and you were after tickets. Go on, what happened?
So I left it quite late.
There, by the way, because I was shitting myself for you. Thinking,
mate, listen to the story as well. So,
and I didn't want to be that prick in advance where I was like, Jim, I don't hold out much confidence here for you, mate.
Oh no, this is it. So like. I was looking for tickets and I left it quite late. So I was on the old Twitter trying to find them, and loads of people were going, I've got two, but like sending the same message. So it was just like a copy and paste off different accounts. And I'm thinking, obviously they're scams. So I found one guy and he was like, I've got some here, face value, 115 quid. I was like, oh, sound. So I was like talking to him for ages, but asking loads of questions because I'm thinking, it's my son's birthday the day after. This is his birthday present. If I get scammed, I'm fucked. So I was asking loads. Anyway, this kid got pissed off and was like, oh, I've offered him to someone else now. And then I was like, right, okay. And I was like, I'll take him now. Then he's like, oh, no, they've gone now. So I was like, fuck's sake.
All that flirting for nothing.
All that, mate, honestly, it was me being a dick. And he sent me his LinkedIn profile. He sent me loads of stuff. I was just being fucking proper moody. So I thought the next time anyone comes, I'll just take him, whatever. So then this bloke came up, Dale. Fair play, Dale Spick. Shout out to him. And he's made a few coin off me, to be fair to him. But that's a different story. So he messaged me going, I've got a pair. So I was like, where? Like, in Man City? And yeah. So all this sort of stuff. I'm thinking, just do it. It's 150 quid a ticket. Like it's 300 quid, but it's not the end of the world if you don't make it. It's not. It's annoying, but it's not breaking the bank sort of stuff. So bought them, and then as soon as I got to Wembley, I got this feeling going, this kid could have sold these tickets about 10 times over. So it'd be like a race to whoever gets there first.
What was it? A QR code? Did he give you a
QR code? So it was like it was
my
an email
arse would go. I would be having none of that.
So I'm going, fuck's sakes. I was like, so I wanted to get there really early. I wanted to leave at like about 8:30. But my brother-in-law was going, so we decided to travel down together. We'll get there fairly early and whatever. I want to get there so I can get in and we know the tickets are ours. So anyway, fucking traffic everywhere. So it took about 4.5 hours to get down. Traffic, got into the stadium, it scanned fine. We're walking up to our seats. and there's a guy and someone else sat in the seat. I'm like, oh no. I was like, you're in our seat, mate. He's like, I'm not. I was like, you are 24, 20, seat 120, 121 or whatever. He's like, yeah, this is ours. And I was like, fuck, I've been done here. Like, I did. And, mate, I was panicking. But the thing is, I'm sweating. But the day before, I played golf and I hadn't put any sun cream on. So I was red and raw, like literally burnt to foot. So I was wearing a jumper so I didn't burn again. So I was fucking just dripping in this 30-degree heat in Wembley. Panicking, and anyway, it was me. I got the row up. It was
I'm panicking.
I'm panicking. It was the row below, so I was like, I just got the wrong row, but I was shitting it. So luckily, we got there in time, and it was a good day.
Yeah, I have to say, I was rooting for Archie in a way there, you know, because I wanted him to have a good day and whatever. And it was funny, you obviously being at the game, and we were watching it on the TV, and it's funny the little bit of details that you weren't picking up on in the stadium, because you were saying the penalty claim. I think it was the Casemiro red card. You didn't pick up on any of those bits.
Well, the Casemiro one looked it, but I thought because Akanji slipped and we were quite high up, so you weren't that close. But you could see that Akanji was hurt, but you assumed it was from the slip, so you didn't see that. The handball, nothing, like literally nothing in the stadium. Me and Arch, after it went, the ball came in, he headed it in, no one in the box, keeper got in, he played on for like a minute or so. And so me and Arch went, shall we go get some hot dogs now because we've had nothing to eat? So we're walking down the steps, and all of a sudden the stadium went deathly quiet. And the ref starts walking away. And I initially thought there was something that gone on off the ball, like someone had elbowed someone. And he was then walking to the monitor to see if like someone had punched someone or elbowed. I was like, what the fuck's going on?
Did they not show it in on the monitor, Jim?
No, they didn't show it on the monitor, but so they gave the penalty. We watched the penalty on the steps, and we walked to the hot dog stand, and it showed you like on the tellies in the concessions, and I was like, "Fucking hell, how have they come to that conclusion?" Honestly, not one. And then the De Bruyne looked it, but it was on the far side, so he couldn't really see. But yeah, it's mad. Like it was one thing I will say, and I know you're probably going to slag them off, but the City fans didn't stop singing all game, you know, and I couldn't. I swear to God, didn't hear them hardly heard the Man United fans.
Yeah, I don't know how. So we'll nice segue on to City there, because that's where I want to start off with. Because look, whatever you think of City, whatever you think has gone on about with City this season, they're an unbelievable football team with an unbelievable manager. And I want to come to you first, Tank, on this, because look, whichever way you slice and dice this, I think Pep's probably been a little bit more open and honest in the lead up to this, in that he pretty much admitted that, look, this is the one we want, this is the one we need. He's kind of shied away from it a lot, and he's looked very nervous, and he's obviously had a tendency to overthink things in the past, and he's nearly caused his own problems. He's been the master of his own downfall, I think, a lot in the Champions League, whereas he seemed a lot more relaxed in the lead up to this. But there was no getting away from the fact that this was the big one for City. What did you make of the game, first and foremost? And I suppose we'll come on to where does this City team rank, but what does it tell you about where they are as a team and a group of players?
Well, on the game itself, I thought City were very fortunate to win it. I'll be brutally honest with you. I didn't think they played well at all. And look, this has been kind of that stumbling block where they've not been able to get over. You know, Pep's been there a long time. City's had all of this money influx for a long, long time, and they've never been able to get it over the line. So I think that's had a huge play. I thought they started okay the first 5 minutes. I thought Inter Milan then looked very comfortable. I think Inter Milan lost the game when they took Zeko off and brought Lukaku on. I just couldn't understand why you'd done it. I was saying to our Jack, and we were watching it, and I went, look how clever these are, because City were coming to press them. Inter Milan would play out. 6 City players were coming to squeeze them. And all they done, they just clipped a lovely ball up to Zeko. He was bringing it down, bringing people in, and he had runners. And I was like, these are going to beat City. I was convinced they were going to beat them. And then when they bring him off, and I'm not being funny, I know Lukaku had a couple of chances. Lads, he's terrible, isn't he? I mean, it's not even like, you'd look at him now and you're like, I don't think he's a footballer. He's absolutely shot to pieces.
I put out a tweet saying Lukaku, which I thought was quite good.
I've not got that out of my head all day. You know.
Sorry, lad.
Well, in fact, ever since I was playing FIFA and someone had Lukaku, and that's all I could think of.
But he did, and it's funny, Tank, I felt the same as you. You know, for all of, you could see maybe the weight was on City a little bit, and you could probably sense a little bit because Pep was trying to cajole the crowd and everything. You could feel that the expectation and the weight of the game.
There, you could see it was. And you look at like Roger, he was awful, by the way. He was shocking. He gave every single pass away, and I thought the likes of De Bruyne was really poor. And I know that he looked like, well, it looks bad now, don't it? Because they're saying he could be out for 2 or 3 months with a snapped hammy. So, you know, obviously he's carrying that. But where does this City team rank? Well, you can't get away from the fact of what's there. You just can't. It's like saying he's the greatest boxer in the world, but he's been taking steroids for a long, long time, and you can't give them this Man City side. If this was all, there was no breaches, there was no charges, and it's not 1 or 2 charges, it's 115 charges. If they weren't there, I'd be sat here now going, this is the greatest football club side I have ever seen in my life, with a manager who is second to none. That's what I'd like to be able to say, because I watched them, but all football fans would take the Liverpool hat off. They're phenomenal. They're absolutely phenomenal. They started the season slow and they've just swooped everything aside, and they're unbelievable. But, and that's the big problem, there's a but. And what makes me more cynical of this is, if you've got nothing to hide, why don't you just go to the Premier League and go, fuck you, get in court. We'll see you in court. We'll prove our innocence. And the fact of the matter is they can't, because they're guilty. They're guilty.
Tank says something there, Jim, and I know what he means, right? So I think there's no secret that myself and Tank are Liverpool fans, right? So, you know, with the rivalry between Liverpool and City over the years, it's easy for us to throw stones because they're the rivals. But ultimately, Liverpool glasses off, football fan glasses on. They are absolutely incredible. And I actually, look, don't get me wrong, I didn't want City to win the game. I'm allowed to say that, right? I also text Ricky Bridge, actually, you know, he's a big City fan, listens to the podcast, friend of yours, Jim. We've obviously met him a good few times. I texted him and said, enjoy the night, mates, because, you know, even though they won the game, I'm still happy for people that I know that support City, and it's a magical moment. But I wanted City to lose the game as a Liverpool fan. But as a football fan, I look at Pep and I look at these players, and there is a part of me that thinks they must know they don't get the adulation that they deserve. It must feel a little redundant for Pep in a way that, like, he wants this big release, you know, this big moment. Yeah. But there's always going to be the 115 questions that are going to be asked of them, the cloud that sits over the top of their achievements. And for something like Tantic says there, we should be sat here going, the best ever. No question. Revolutionise the game. I know we can still say that to some degree, but you can't say it without the asterisks. You can't say it without the context of. It must be annoying for the players and the fans as well. You know, I know from a Liverpool perspective, the COVID thing really pissed me off, still does to this day. Liverpool, I wanted this big release when Liverpool won the league. And the COVID, you know, and there was this, we didn't get the big celebration. And I still feel like I was cheated out of that a little bit. And maybe some City fans, whilst publicly and on Twitter, where they say they don't give a shit, I think their players and their fans, it must annoy them and grate them a little bit.
I genuinely don't think they give a shit. I really don't. I think they'll get
players or fans?
Both. I think they will get, even if they get excluded to League Two, they sing they'll go down with $1 billion in the bank. I don't think they really give a flying F about. I don't know why I held back on saying fuck.
Yeah, as if we don't swear.
I know, yeah, like
you wait to the end of the season to start bleeping yourselves.
I thought this was a new podcast. Yeah, I really don't
give the fudge.
Yeah, I really don't think they give a flying fuck, to be honest with you, and that's fair play. Like, and I would be the same. As personally, because I see myself differently to football fans because I detach myself. I've done it all my life. I can detach myself. I can enjoy something.
7 clubs as well.
But I support 7 clubs, so I can easily mix between the 7 on whoever's doing well and whoever's going well at that time. So the issue you've got is this: even if City are found not guilty, it won't tarnish anyone else's view in their eyes, right? Because City are the team to get beat. Everyone, and I've said this before, when United were winning everything, everyone hated United. When Chelsea came to the front, someone tweeted, and I'd saved it. Let me get it up, actually, because it was it sort of epitomised my point. Let me just find it. So a writer, I don't know who it was, he put clubs talking around Newcastle. So he's talking about the Saudi Arabia. He says clubs can be rehabilitated throughout the Abramovich years when they were winning. I despise Chelsea. Now they're just funny because they're not winning. But you, no doubt, Chelsea come back. If Chelsea win the league, European treble next year, everyone will be screaming blue murder over the money they've spent over the last year and a half because they'll spend more. It's just whoever's in that firing line at that point and who are winning. Newcastle are out the firing line. I mean, they've just done a deal with the Saudi Arabian.
I don't think they are out the firing line though, Jim.
Well, it's not as bad as City because they're not winning anything. I think they'll go.
It's coming.
It will come because they will win. But if they're just sort of there and thereabouts, it'll just be sort of muted. Or we better say it because we feel like we should do.
Newcastle are a bigger club than Man City.
Newcastle, what? Sorry,
Newcastle are a bigger club than Man City.
Probably domestically,
because it's not winning. We're not talking about winning. Fan base, whatever way you want to look at it.
Domestically,
Newcastle are a bigger club than Man City.
Not worldwide. Domestically, I'll give you that. Not worldwide.
No, Jimmy, no one gives a fuck about Man City outside of Manchester. Trust me, they don't. They can't sell out when they go in big.
How can I trust you? They've got. If you look at when we spoke about Wrexham, you mentioned Wrexham.
Don't go to Wrexham. You made the
No. I'm using just talking around your argument.
Wrexham just won an unbelievable sponsorship deal, and you're like still saying it's a fairy tale.
You were saying what they did. They grew all their fan base via social media. I went and checked City's social media, and they're one of the highest clubs for social media following across the world.
But Jimbo,
Liverpool are up there. I'll give you that because I checked them compared to Liverpool's. But they beat Man United. They beat Chelsea. They're flying in their social media.
But we can't. They could just buy a load of bot followers.
They could be. They could. I mean, you'd have a lot.
I'm not just saying City. Anyone,
10 million.
Somebody that works in social media.
I know. I understand that.
They can't even sell out an FA Cup final.
They did. I'm telling you, I was there. It was so the issue you've got. Tickets. So let me tell you, I got my tickets off. Right, a guy who works for Surrey FA. I was like, "Why are you selling your tickets?" Don't support either of them. I'm a Northampton fan. So this is why you'll always have these issues because Champions League final, X amount of tickets go to the home fans, and then everyone else goes to corporate, to home fans. So many Turkey fans got sold Champions League final tickets because they were trying to sell them to.
That mate, that happens in every game.
I appreciate that.
Games like that happens.
But they sold their allocation. They're a global club. I know you don't want to think it, or you might not think it, but they are.
It's just facts. They're not a global superpower. They're a financial superpower. They're not a global superpower.
Either way, it doesn't bother me one way or the other.
But I do think, Tim, on your point there. Go on, Tank.
You go about Manchester United. Manchester United, no matter how much you dislike it, they're an absolute global phenomenon. Fan base up there, probably bigger than anyone in the world. So Manchester United can go and get sponsorships off anybody who they want, and they name their price. Man City can't, because no one's like, who are you? Well, we're Man City. Okay,
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, right?
10 years ago.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate, and you both know my real opinion on this, which I'll give in a sec, right? But just for the purposes of the podcast, right? Is that with Manchester United, the thing that has always thrown at City is the lack of history or the new money and all this. But and it's not lack of history, I suppose, history as in success in the Premier League, dominance. They've obviously had a lot now in recent years. Like Manchester United have had periods, like Chelsea have had periods. Would it not be that City are building towards something? So they're making their own history now, Tank, and ultimately they're going to see the benefits of this. They're going to see the benefits of this in 10, 15, 20 years. Kids in playgrounds now wear City tops with De Bruyne on the back. Are they growing towards that? And the second stage of the question is, whilst I do think that could be true to a degree, and whilst I also think what Tank is saying, they just don't have the global fan base yet, I think the thing that makes it difficult for me is when you look at the reports of City being the biggest club in the world now, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, it's ridiculous. Like,
it's
like you play a game of Monopoly with someone, and all of a sudden your uncle's had all the houses stuffed down his back pockets, and he's got a load of faked out. It's just not. We're not playing on a level playing field. They're trying to make mugs of everyone, I think.
They're the highest ranked worth sport enterprise in the world, and it's fucking comical because they're not even in the top 100. They don't even exist in the top 100. But here they are, sat at number 1. And just let me get a point across on this as well. You talk about Pep Guardiola and the player. Absolutely no fingers can be pointed at them, by the way. Because as a manager, you get your budget for that season. You've got X amount to spend and you've got X amount on wages. That's your budget. So it's got nothing to do with them. But all of the focus is, you know, it's the ownership and how it's run and fabrication of sponsorships and sellouts. My best mate was at the City. He was at the fucking game at the weekend. He was sending me pictures. I was laughing my head off at him. He was in the fan park. I went, mate, are you taking the piss? He went, it's fucking... He said, there's thousands of us. I went, it don't look like. He said, you want to go and have a look at Liverpool? Joking with him. I get video messages of him when he's at the Etihad in big European games, like quarterfinals, and he's like, it's unbelievable here, mate. He said, there's literally, and he's like that, and there's nobody near him. Nobody. In the Champions League quarter-final, where he sits, there's like 200, 300, 400 empty seats. That is not a global superpower. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. They're a fabricated club. They're a wonderful club with a wonderful manager and wonderful players who will never get any credit what you truly deserve until you have the day in court and they get found categorically not guilty on any charges. And
they won't even get the credit then, even if they get found not guilty. They won't get the credit because
I was going to say, Jim, do you think they've been tarnished now?
It's not tarnished. It's just rivalries, isn't it? It's rivalries. People don't like them because they're winning. If City didn't win anything for the next 10 years, no one would give a shit. But, you know, all this stuff will go away, and I promise you, the shift will eventually. This will shift onto Newcastle, and it will shift onto any club that is owned by a state or whatever's backed by anyone. But
is that not an important thing, though, Jim? And if you look at the wider sphere of sport now, you're seeing the things that are happening in golf. You see, obviously, Newcastle. It didn't take them long to start doing deals with Saudi companies and all stuff like that. We can all see. This is not an anti-any club thing, but we can all see what's going on.
I don't see why football's different to the wider world. Okay, so you work for a massive social media company, right? Let's just say a startup social media company starts, and they get some guy in that is unbelievable at his job. What is there in this?
About me here, Jim, yeah.
I'm talking about you, right? So you were working for XYZ. LinkedIn come in and go, oh, by the way, here's XY, here's £100,000 a year, and the other company could only offer you £50,000 a year. Where in the world does anything stop people from doing that? I don't know why this is coming. The FFP, and this is another point, by the way. Who did you want to win at the weekend? Cheat or Inter Milan? I'm assuming Inter Milan.
Yeah.
Inter Milan got found guilty of FFP. City haven't. They got theirs overturned. So, you know, you can't support one and not the other. It's you know, which one is it?
Now we're going down. Go on, Tank. You take it.
They never got theirs overturned.
Whatever.
The court of arbitration, and they got found guilty, and they agreed to drop it with a £65 million fine. Now, if I'm not guilty, mate, I ain't paying 65 million quid. I'm telling you to go fuck yourself or see it in court.
And it's a lot of them. It's
like Michael Jackson, though, isn't it? It's like Michael Jackson.
The time. Now, I don't know. I was speaking to, you know he is, I'm not going to name him here, an ex-manager of mine who's managed over 1,000 fucking games. I was speaking to him. We were just having a chat about it. And I said to him, how come that they can now do this? And he said, this was his point. I'm not too sure he was right. He said it's something to do with the fact that we're not in the Euro no more and that City can't go to the court of arbitration now for backup, basically. So I don't know how true that is, but he's like, that's what it is. And he works high up in the Premier League, and I take his word above everyone. Man City are getting the fucking book thrown at them at every fucking angle because you've got internal emails, basically, where they're saying you haven't sent enough money to cover this sponsorship. We need another 12 million. I mean, fucking hell, really? And we're all just going to sit here and go, the fucking wonderful team spent $2 billion over a period of time to build this global empire by fabricating sponsorship, fabricating the amount of fans at games, fabricating everything. And I know what you're saying about financial fair play, but that's come into play to stop all of this. And
financial fair play has come in by the big boys because they didn't want anyone like this to just run away. I don't give a shit who owns any club.
I don't believe it's come in by the big boys, Jimmy.
I do.
Why would the big boys want to do that?
It was United.
Why would Man United want a financial fair play? Why would
because
they want that?
They're not backed by their owners. They're backed by their global dominance. And as you said, their stance in the world. Right?
Next subject, he's just admitted it. City are a fucking flop. Man United are a global phenomenon.
I'm just saying that when they...
Jimmy,
oh God, Jim!
It's not what I said,
though.
I'm not saying this. I'm talking that United are. I'm not saying that City aren't a big club by saying United. World class. By saying a United are a big club, I'm not then saying City aren't a big club. I don't know how you've got two and two there.
How long have you done this podcast for? You don't bite.
I'm not biting. I'm putting my point because he just shouts. He doesn't. He can't articulate his point.
Oh, by the way, do you know my highlight of the season this season is when Jimmy left the WhatsApp group?
And I'll tell that story. I will tell that story.
I can't remember what it was.
But I missed that.
My highlight of the season is when Jimmy left the WhatsApp group. You remember that? He's gone. Anyway, Jim,
I wish Tank was still talking to me when I'd already left. So. I
want to make a point, Jim. I want to make a point. Sorry, just because there was a question that came in from David, right? And he asks, and it is all linked. And this isn't anti-City. These are just conversations that football fans are having, right? David asked, how come the EFL can implement fines for clubs who break FFP, but the Premier League don't for Everton and the likes of City, right? The longer this stuff goes on, it could be a case, like Tank says, they're building this case and they're going to throw the book at them. But the longer this stuff goes on... Go on.
Sorry, mate. I'm just saying, I've said all along, if City get their punishment, it's like anything. You'll get if they've done wrong, they'll get their punishment.
Yeah, I just can't see that day coming anytime soon. That's the thing.
I agree with what you're saying there, though, Jamie. It's like in League One, especially League One in the Championship, like Derby County got hit. You know, it's fucking scandalous because these clubs get hit. Wigan got hit. You know, these get hit.
Wigan, I think it's more clear cut, though, isn't it? A lot of these are more clear cut than the Man City one. Wigan didn't play their. Everton are the same, but I don't know how I'm not adverse to Everton's dealing.
They've actually submitted bank accounts to say, like, submitted accounts to the fucking HMRC to say we've lost 80 million there. So Everton's like bang to rights. Their own accounts are suggesting that they've lost way over the threshold what's allowed. So I don't really understand why Everton it's not done and dusted.
No, I don't know.
It's their accounts what have fucking found themselves guilty, but they're still looking into that. And I think it's wrong if Championships clubs get done quickly. It should happen the same with the fucking big boys.
I tell you what, it's a good job they didn't do. Stream fucking football matches. Did you see this? Did you see the state of the punishments that were handed out to the streamers? Didn't one of the, there was 30 years or something stupid like that, wasn't it?
Mad. No, 7 years it was. Where did I 30 years between a load of them is why the sum was.
I tell you what,
when off talking about streaming, like kind of going off on another subject here. You know, when I had all of the pubs and that, like, if you have Sky in the pubs, a normal subscription in the pubs, like these are the little rundown pubs I had in Bootle. You know, you're just ticking over. Why pulling in any fucking amazing sums? You were just, hand to mouth feeding, just running them. So if you have Sky in a normal pub like that, this is a little shithole pub in Bootle, probably taking about 10 grand a week. That's it. And the Sky was $2.5 grand a month. For Sky.
Jesus.
And if you got caught, so basically you used to say, well, I ain't fucking paying that. So my uncle lived upstairs in a flat and we just used to fucking pipe it down. But you'd have the little pint glass in the corner.
The little Guinness.
Yeah. So if that's not on, they used to come in and find you 30,000 quid. They can just fucking...
What's the Guinness glass? I've always wondered what the Guinness glass is. What is it?
That's the pubscription, yeah.
Pubscription.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, that makes sense.
Podcast.
I tell you what, I am
You're all learning.
I got a lesson in crypto before the fucking podcast started, and now I'm getting pub management and fucking. That was a question I needed answered. Right, lads. To finish off, right? Because what I want to do is I want to do a bit of a review. Well, not a review, right? But basically go through players of the seasons, managers of the seasons, get your votes, kind of like they do on Monday Night Football, where they go through who they thought So best player, best manager. We're going to do favourite moments of the season. I want to do dick of the season, so that can be open to anyone.
Jimmy
you thought...
Tank.
I was waiting for that. Worst shout of the season. And
I'd say Jimmy again, where fucking Kane's the best finish he's ever come across. But if he's a one-on-one and
said that.
And you want Rooney,
you just make things up. You honestly, I'd love to live in. I'd love to live in your head for a day, just to see the colours and the fucking pinwheels going round.
To be fair, Jimbo, you did say
no.
that.
I said. What I said is Kane is clearly a better goal scorer because his stats show so.
But if you don't want him one-on-one to save the world from an alien invasion.
I said I'd take either or.
No, you never. You said that, Rooney.
Yes, I did. I guarantee you.
Jimbo,
I said I'd take either.
You never. Right. You said that, Rooney.
We'll come back to that. Right. So first one, and I'll come to you first, Jim, because you're smiling at me, right? Player of the season. Who's your player of the season?
See, I'd say obviously Haaland scored all the goals, hasn't he? And he's been unbelievable.
Tank's up to something. He's got that mischievous look on his face.
He's taking a picture of something. He's something.
I've drawn a dick on me screen. Can you see it, lads?
Let's have a look.
If you zoom in, you might be able to see it on Jimmy.
I can't see the dick. Where is it? Oh, there it is.
See it very lightly. So,
right, go on, Jim. Who is it? Haaland?
No, I don't think so, mate. I think it's KDB for me.
Is it?
Yeah, I think from what I've seen, and I've been to a few City games this year, especially the FA Cup final when KDB's not been on fire, Haaland's not been on fire. So I think Haaland relies on KDB more than KDB relies on Haaland. And if Haaland had got involved in more games, and I know that's not his role, but if he was more involved in the game, like he was in the Liverpool game the Arsenal game, the Arsenal at the Etihad when he absolutely bullied Gabriel and Holding, then it'd be him. But for me, KDB assists and goals is just, and he keeps going as well. And like you say, he's played through injuries, so the last two games have probably took a bit of the shine off his season. But yeah, probably KDB for me.
Tank.
I'm going to go, do you know, I was nearly going to go completely against the grain and give it to fucking Dunk from Brighton because I just think he's been phenomenal. Do you know, when you just, every time you watch him, you're like, he seems to be the catalyst of what Brighton do. It's good. But I have to give it to Harry Kane. I have to. Just for the simple fact that Tottenham side's been fucking dreadful this season, and all of the things are being on about Haaland, and Haaland only scored 6 more goals than him this season. I mean, in a really poor Tottenham side, he scored 30 league goals. It's not spoke about enough. I just think he was absolutely fucking off the charts this season. You take him out of that side, there's a possibility that they will
go down
relegation.
Yeah. Well, they've got Richarlison, haven't they, Jamie? He'll do a job for them.
He's at the back, lad.
Talking of worse shouts, I would go. So I had Haaland, Kane on my list. 30 goals again in a poor Spurs side. I also, just from a personal perspective, Saka and Odegaard for me were two that just should be in the conversation because, like, Odegaard, he just in a team that, look, they over-exceeded. Whatever you say about them bottling the league, Arsenal's performance this season, they've had an unbelievable year, and he was a joy to watch. He's the type of player where you're happy to part with your hard-earned cash to say, I'm glad I got to see him. So special mention for him. But if I had to pick, I would just go Haaland because I know it's an obvious one, but
he's a freak,
his job was here to score goals. He scored a shitload of goals, broke all records, and took City, not on his own, obviously, but you know, he was brought in to help him win the Champions League. They won the Champions League. So for me, it's Haaland. Now, this is one where I wasn't happy. I understand it, but there's a lot of managers that have been hard done to here. You know, manager of the season, right? Because obviously Pep has won the treble, done brilliant, revolutionised games, the tactical tweaks. He's a genius, absolutely cut the top of the tree. But there's some managers that have done unbelievable things in the Premier League. Some of them didn't even make the list, the short list for manager of the year. So there's definitely, I would expect maybe some surprise names here. Jim, who did you give your manager of the season to?
Gary O'Neill.
Good man.
Bournemouth. Because when Scott Parker got sacked. They'd just been bummed 7 or whatever nil it was by Liverpool. They were rock bottom. They were rock bottom for a good time. They pulled it out when he come back, and they had a little dip. Of course they did. It's Bournemouth, you're not expecting them to be consistent. And then when the the shit hit the fan towards the end of the season, they needed to get their wins, and they went about it and did so. Got them safe, nice and early, and did well to keep them up. When you think about that Bournemouth side, name me one player that would probably go for more than 20 million, and the only one you could probably say at a push is Solanke, just because of his physicality. The goals,
like the big lad in centre mid. What's his name?
Lerma.
No,
Billing.
Billing. I like him.
Billing, maybe Billing. I'll give you Billing, but they've not
gone to Palace from them. Is it Lerma?
He's gone to Palace, on a free, I think, as well. Yeah, I think it was a free transfer. Yeah. So he was decent. So he's done with very little when it all looked doom and gloom early doors. He's done fantastic to keep them up. And if they went down next year, you wouldn't be surprised in any way, shape, or form just because of the money they've got. Well, actually, they might have more now. They've got the big money man in, haven't they? So
yeah, Tank.
It's like Jimmy, Pep's the obvious one. For me, the Brighton manager.
Yeah, I
just think, once fucking the fella went to Chelsea, you'd be kind of thinking, oh, fuck me. But I think he come in and he implemented the style of play, and I actually fucking love watching him. And I think it's a shame on them. Obviously we've signed the lads, McAllister, but I think that they were a goal scorer away from fucking really causing issues in this fucking shake-up, not just for top 6, top 4, because not many people were going to Brighton and having a nice, easy, comfortable game. The
big one for me was the final. It was when they played United.
Yeah.
And you saw the way that they played against United. And I know, obviously, they came unstuck in the penalties. That's a lottery. Like, bravery, structure, identity. Like, from a football perspective, we always used to say with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's like they've got no structure or identity here. They're just getting away on individual moments from players, whereas you cannot look at that Brighton team. And it'll be interesting now to see how their bigger players. Now, I love Caicedo. Absolutely love him. I really rate McAllister. Be interesting to see how these players do now outside of a really strong system, because everybody looks fantastic within a really structured team, and that's what Brighton are. So it'll be interesting to see how these players do, but that's all down to the manager, Tank. He's been a revelation.
He's brilliant, and I've seen an interview with Lallana talking about him, and he's kind of like he come in from day one, and it was like, bang, this is how we play, this is what you do, and we don't move from that, this is how we do it. And you got to admire it, because as we said many times before with Solskjaer, no one knew how they played or nothing. But he's come in, laid the law down, and you don't move from that. That's how you do it. And the other one, he couldn't get anywhere near.
Can you stop saying, like, I keep remembering that video you put up, this is how he do it. You remember how he do it? This is how he do it. You said it twice, and I started giggling to myself. I was like, stop it. And then you said it again. I was like,
to myself.
This is how we do it.
And just one other one who needs a fucking big mention. And I liked him when he got the Arsenal job, and I don't think he got the backing all the time, is the Villa manager. He's a fucking good manager then.
I am brilliant. And to be fair as well, go on,
Joe. No, you
go. I was going to change the subject, so you say what you're going to say.
No, I was just going to say, I always think it's really important when you're looking at the quality of a coach, is everybody can go out and spend, right? But what are you doing with the players that are at your club? How are you developing and bringing players on? And I think for all of the managers that we've just spoke about, there's players, they're getting way more than the sum of their parts. And that's a big talent. Anyone can go buy a brilliant player and lob him in the middle of the pitch, and the team, like Casemiro comes in for Man United. You've said it, Tank. It's not revolutionary stuff. You go and spend 300 grand a week on a player and plonk him in the middle. But what type of players are you developing? And that's a big thing. So I have nothing else to add on those. Apart from, your man from
Roy Hodgson for me as well.
Oh yeah.
Roy Hodgson. I mean, he only had like 4 or 5 games, but have you seen the Paddy Power video, the viral video where it's like the script writers and they're talking about the Premier League, right? So how about we get Crystal Palace and bring Roy Hodgson in, and he hasn't playing like Brazil for the last 5 games or something like that. So
you've got some good players, Palace,
And yeah, but they always have, haven't they? And they've just played to like you say, they play to a system that's restricted them, but Roy's come in and let Eze, Elise play off RU and just gone, grind. Go on, lads. Go have it. Without Zaha as well, who was injured for the majority of it.
Favourite moment of the season, Tank?
From like a Liverpool fan point of view, it's got to be the 7-0 in it against United. That's just,
I actually just laughed through the game. I think that was one of my. Any particular Forest moments stand out? You got to go back to the City ground this year, which must have been good.
I watched the Forest game. Fucking hell, what was the game? Yeah, I watched. It was great to go back to the City ground. By the way, just a quick note on that: the fucking disrespect what Forest are being shown is unbelievable about, like, the English Champions League winners and all of that. Not even a fucking mention.
Did you see that? Yeah, it was I think it was BT Sport. For those that haven't seen it, BT Sport put out a post, and it was basically talking about which clubs have represented England the best in winning Champions Leagues, and they listed them.
It wasn't the Champions League, I think that's what.
Jimmy, they still mentioned Liverpool.
I agree.
Times.
No, he said 3. He said Liverpool 3. He said Liverpool 3 on the graphic I saw.
Yeah. But there is a wider point here. People do think that football started in 1992.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm just saying. I'm using. I'm being, as Homer would say, devil's advocate. They've clearly put Champions League as opposed to European Cups. So, what
about you, Jim? Favorite moments?
Man, I'm gonna have to say the FA Cup final.
Come on, it's like we'll do a gender reveal at the end of the season podcast. Jim, you got to. Who do you support, lad? Come on.
It's Man City.
Actually, clearly. It's not Man City. It's not Man City.
You've got to fucking. Mate, I've known you for. How many years have I known you now? Is it 15?
Probably,
15 in the head, but I've never actually thought
it's around 15, yeah, definitely.
And I don't know who you support. So just tell us, will you? Little spoiler.
They've gone down this year, lads.
Is it Leeds?
It's Leeds, yeah. It's Leeds United. Yeah. It's Leeds United. So I supported Leeds in around just before 1992 when they won the league. It was the white kit that did it for me. And my best mate Ben Tinsley supported them as well. So when I was younger, I flirted around. I started at United, supported Newcastle because my stepdad did. I flirted around with a few clubs, and I just landed on Leeds, and it just stuck with them ever since.
Okay, no, I don't know why I thought Newcastle. Yeah, I had Newcastle in my head, but there you go.
I did have Newcastle, for maybe a year or two. Mum's got a new boyfriend. Stepdad comes in, he supports Newcastle. Oh, daddy, love me.
What about you, Tank?
I didn't even say mine.
I've done mine.
Favourite season, yeah. So for me, I mean, I'll just got to say the FA Cup final. Getting to watch that with my boy the day before his birthday and seeing them win was unbelievable.
Lovely. Yeah, mine was the 7-0. You can't beat your biggest rivals. And you know what made it worse? And shout out to Dave Egan, my mate, who is a United fan, and give Darwin Núñez nothing but abuse all season. And how they were going to batter us at Anfield. And Liverpool won 7-0 and Darwin Núñez scored 2. I'll be honest, I enjoyed that night, and that one will definitely in what's been a pretty shite season for Liverpool.
The last goals he scored, weren't they?
Oh, don't get me started. We'll come on to that next year. Okay, so the next one up is Dick of the Season. Are you going to go each other?
Are we talking just in general, or talking Premier League?
Someone related to football. You can't say like your milkman or your next door neighbour who.
I've got one. Well, Richard Keys. He's a fucking bellend, isn't he? Yeah, big old area, and Tank would call him. Yeah, he's up there with some of the best sticks. Me and him joint first.
What about you, Tank?
Bonlahor.
Oh, he's sticking with that one, yeah.
Well, he's disappeared recently. Have you not noticed?
Him off. Tank's got he buried in Dubai somewhere.
Honestly, he's on that. Some of his shouts, what you see on Talks, but you're like, fucking. He's that insignificant, but he thinks that he's in Klopp's head. He thinks Klopp's thinking about him. Yeah. I mean, he's the most deluded, backwards fucking firework face I've ever come across.
Oh, no, right, okay. Yeah. Gabby Agbonlahor, to be honest, that's a long-standing feud with you two, isn't it? That one's not going to go away anytime soon, to be fair. Do you know who mine is? On the theme of, I suppose, commentators, presenters, Jake Humphries. That fella is the biggest helmet. He is pure partridge. Some of the things that he says.
Have you seen that thread that was done today? The thread.
Yeah, exactly that, mate. And did you see the bit where I'll post it on the Twitter after this? Like, there's so many sound bites that fella has done. Like, if you see, what was the famous one where he was like, he gets up at fucking 5 a.m. Like his morning routines and all this.
Yeah, well, he does that high performance thing, doesn't he? Like, what is he performing high at? Like saying words on the telly.
He is
saying words on the telly.
He is a high-performing bellend. So, yeah, he's up there with Duncan from Blue as the two people that fucking really annoy me. Duncan from Blue, because he always poses constantly.
Yeah, but he came out as gay, though. Does that not change?
It doesn't make him not a poser, though. It makes it easier to stomach, but he's still annoying. Just watch him. If you're watching a fella on TV and he's constantly going...
Reminds me of someone else, to be fair. Someone I know very well.
That was the artist.
Can spot a camera from 100 miles away.
Moving on. Worst shout. Now, I'll stay with you, Jimbo, because there's been a few, lad. What's been your worst shout? Actually, do you know what? I'll change it. Tank, what's been Jimmy's worst shout of the season? And Jimmy, what's been Tank's worst shout of the season?
Mate, just let me get me list of Jimmy's here. Fucking one.
Was Messi down the line this season, Jim?
Yes.
I think it was at the start, yeah. And it was obviously tongue-in-cheek, by the way.
It wasn't tongue-in-cheek, though.
Mate, oh, my God.
The one what still makes me laugh is fucking Anthony has potential to be a world-class superstar.
You did say that, Jim.
I said he had all the right attributes.
Trying to think of any other one. So showing Messi, the way to stop Messi is to show him down the line is something that will live long in the memory. Like, we've got to make some type of merch out of that, like T-shirts or mugs or something. Fucking show him down the line.
The greatest manager in the world have been
what you got to do, lad. I still stand by it, you know. Getting down that line on his right, he's fucked.
Tank, you said a good one for Tank, Jim. Early season predictions. What was
Wolves in the top 6? Bellingham signed a 5-year deal about 6 months ago, 85 times. Number 8 shirt, captain.
I still believe that's happening, you know. There's a little part in my brain that still believes that Jude Bellingham is coming to Liverpool. I'd convince myself that much.
Just as he's buying his furniture for Madrid. I'm still going to Liverpool. So that one...
By the way, on that, their midfield, like...
stop.
Potential. I mean, come on.
Tank, can I ask you something on Bellingham, right? Because... I don't begrudge him at all. I actually just think he's an unbelievable centre midfielder. I love watching him and I want him to be as successful as possible at Real Madrid. There was one, you know, the knee injury stuff. Yeah. Is that a bit? That's like, you can get impact injuries and stuff like that, but that seems young for a player like that to be getting that type of injury, or you know what I mean? Is that, you look at the volume of games he's played, so young.
Has he not played 190 games?
Oh, there's a stat somewhere that compared people of him players at that age, and he's like miles ahead. It's a worry. Like,
I might be wrong, but I'm sure I've read that he's played 190 games. And to play, Jimmy might have a look while we're speaking. To be fair, can you look, Jim?
Yeah, of course.
That's
look at us working as a team on the last podcast.
No, on a series, that's like, no matter what anyone plays in football, and especially modern football, wear and tear on your body fucking takes its toll. You know, I'm not being funny. I played about 400 odd games, and my body and knees and fucking calves and everything are completely and utterly shot to pieces. And my career was cut short at 29, but I was playing from 17. He's played probably half the games.
177 games.
So he's played 177 games.
That's without the World Cup, by the way. That's without the England games.
Honestly, and this isn't just me saying because you're not coming to Liverpool, because I would...
24 England appearances he's made as well.
Yeah, so it's not far off what you're saying.
201, that is. 201, he's broke the 201 barrier.
So he's played half the games I played in my career at 19.
Jesus. And you know what's worrying? And people moan at Pep and Klopp and Solskjaer all the managers are saying it, but nobody is listening because football fans, we just think that these club managers are out to steal a march on, you know, and get a benefit or whatever. Somebody has to have the conversation somewhere that there is too much football. There is just too much football going on, and these players are going to break down left, right, and centre. Tank, I know you've got to wrap up because you've got to go and pick up Frankie, right? So we get
just
these
got a message of the missus then.
Yeah, you're getting the Shepherd's Hook, right? And I think my kids are going to bomb in anytime soon, right? Which after school. So last couple, okay. Who's been your favourite listener? Has there been a particular listener? Who can we give a listener a shout out that's got involved with the podcast?
I've got my favourite one. Andrew Nicholson, the Aberdeen fan. He always sticks up for me, that guy. He's top bloke. Everyone else always with you two, all the Liverpool fans giving me stick. I've got a worse listener as well, that fucking Fred Flunk. What prick he is. I'm joking, Fred. He's all right.
He's my favourite, Fred.
He always gives
it to you.
Andrew Nicholson, and favourite moment actually goes back to the live podcast with Gary Megson.
Oh yeah, that was brilliant. Gary Megson was in the house. Yeah, that was very good. Right, lads. Well, that's us for the season. I don't know what the plans are over the summer and all that, but I think we need a little bit of a rest, I think is fair to say. But the plan is to do bits and bobs. We might do a few quizzes and a few bits like that over the summer, keep us ticking over. But from a personal perspective, I've had a great crack with the two of you this season doing
just
this.
Before I go, though,
go on, lad.
I've got a big fan of Tanks here, so would you mind saying hello to Tank, please?
Oh, God.
Big fan of yours.
You fucking tit. How long have you planned that one for?
He's planned that for ages, isn't he?
It was here earlier, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good joke."
For the people listening to the podcast, Jimmy just held up a big fan, an actual big fan there. Fucking hell. But boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed it, and to be honest, it's not been a great season for Liverpool, and it's actually
more of the same next year, please.
Yeah, but at least now we can wind you up about Leeds, Jim, which wasn't the case.
But you can't, though, because I really don't give a shit. Like, I'm really not bothered. Couldn't give a flying fuck that he'd gone down. I'm not.
Top fan, him, isn't he?
Football.
Fuck's
He's
sake.
that fan he's just put on the fucking screen.
But I suppose we'll close off by saying thanks to everyone that's got involved. We had a lovely message sent to us before, just saying thank you for the podcast. And look, yeah, we all work, we all have lives. It's not always easy to roll these out, but hearing people and the fact that they've enjoyed it, and I think we've built up a really cool community of sound people that get involved in the podcast, and they always send us in great questions, non-football, football. It's been a great laugh, and hearing people have enjoyed it has made it all the worthwhile. So thank you everybody for your support. I hope you enjoyed the last one. Stay in touch with us. As I said, we'll do bits over the summer, and then we'll be rested and ready to go for next season. But I suppose from us, that'll do for now. Hope you all enjoyed the rest of your week, and we will be back with you sometime over the summer with Boot Room Podcast. All the best.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, boys.